Hello and welcome to New Filmmakers Los Angeles in partnership with Moviemaker magazine. We're here at the Camera Studio Los Angeles in West Hollywood. I'm here with Dana Stockton with his movie, Toby and the Runaway Kite. Let's take a look at a clip.
Toby and the Runaway Kite. Tucked away in the city, past the horses going clop, and where the chimney sweepers sweep on city's rooftop, an impatient boy lies awake and waits, for he is eager for morning to arise.
Dana, it's wonderful to have you here in the studio. Tell us a brief synopsis of your film.
Sure. So Toby and the Runaway Kite is basically about a boy who got given a kite for Christmas. And as you are when you're excited, given something, you just want to go out and you use it. So he actually sneaks out at night time. He sneaks out onto the roof of his house to use it against his parents' permission. But what happens is the wind picks up and takes this kite away. And then what happens next is Toby sneaks out of his house and runs after this. And then he goes on all sorts of adventures to retrieve this, his present.
You have to watch it. It's a true adventure. I actually wish I went on that adventure myself. Where was your inspiration behind the movie?
So the inspiration is basically, I wouldn't say there was one set inspiration for it. There was a few selections of visual cues that you may notice from Henry Selick and Tim Burton, a little bit of Baz Luhrmann in there, so all these sort of visual cues. The story itself I sort of came up with because I was sitting down and I had something just popped. There's a couple of lines in the film that just popped. They just clicked. So I ran over to my computer and said, okay, there might be something here. And over the space of half an hour, I'd written the whole script for this for the film. Wow. So and that's kind of where it's come from. So I wouldn't say there's anything direct link to the story or anything. It's just sort of just came randomly.
And you had quite significance with the time period as well. Was that something that you was intentionally thought about, or could it have been any modern day or old?
I think the reason why it is set the way it's set is mainly because I'm drawn to the architecture of that period. So I chose that period just because I've got more of a stylistic. Sort of, I can have a bit more of a stylistic direction, so I can. If I do it modern times, I'm very limited in terms of the art direction. So that's why I decided to choose that period.
I found it very creative, and excuse my terminology, the way that the characters were like shadows. You couldn't actually sort of see visually their faces. That was a good vision. How did you come up with that idea?
There's a few artworks floating around, still artworks and things like that have a similar style. And I like to work, and the couple of animations I've done in the past are similar in that I like to try to bring out emotion out of something that's really simple. And what is more simple than a silhouette? So that's why I've decided to go down that direction. And it also means I can get to play with the lighting a lot more. So you've got a character which is simply black, and then you can use the environment to bring out all the detail and life.
So Toby, the little boy who gets a runaway kite, wasn't based on a true story or anything like that?
Not at all, not at all.
Who's been your inspiration as a director?
So as a director, I mean, the ones I said before, so the Henry Selick, Tim Burton, Baz Luhrmann, they're sort of my main inspirations, but I also get inspiration from some music and other things like that, some, photography and things like that. And it always comes at random times, the inspiration I get from things. So I think as a artist, you sort of look to all kinds of art to get inspiration from films, and that's sort of where it's all born from, really.
And Dana, you've obviously a fantastic animator, really is a wonderful film, but you also do work with people as well, right?
I do, yes, that's right. So Toby and the Runaway Kite sort of landed in a time where I just finished doing principal photography for a feature film I'm working on. I'm still working on it to this day.
What's it called?
It's called Lucy's Bedtime, and if you Google Lucy's Bedtime, it'll come up with a trailer. So there's a trailer out at the moment for the film. And the reason why it sort of landed after the filming was because it was such a large endeavour, especially that time when I was working on the principal photography, because we had hundreds and hundreds of actors and all sorts of things going on, and it was a large ship to sort of sail. And then after that, I sort of said to myself, I need a break from this film for a while, just to live, artistically within myself rather than having to deal with lots of other people, and I just needed that break. So I locked myself away in my room and just worked on this film for two months, and that's where Toby and the Runaway Kite was born. From those 2 months, just having a break, working, on something by myself rather than working on something with other people. And there was the voiceover was done by Nick Barker-Pendry, who is a local actor from Melbourne, Australia, where I'm from, and it was he was a fantastic support. He recorded at his house and just sent me the track, so I've never actually met him, and I was able to just work with that track and create the finished piece. That's
great. I mean, Danny, you said you're from Australia. We have some amazing Australian filmmakers, but what's it like after locking yourself in a room for 2 months to actually have your film, officially selected by New Filmmakers Los Angeles?
It's been a really great experience. For starters, it was a pleasant surprise to get a phone call from them, because usually you might get an email or you might not hear anything at all, and just to have a phone call just saying, yep, you're in, was a pleasant surprise, and there was support all the way through. I had a great time last night with everyone, and I felt like I was part of the team. And usually short films, they can sort of get, fall by the wayside, but in this festival I sort of celebrated, which was really, really good to see.
Welcome to the New Filmmakers family.
Thank you.
What's next for you as a director?
So, as I mentioned before, I'm working on that feature film, so the plan is to probably spend the next 6 months or so finishing that film, and once that feature film's done, I'll do the same thing with that and get that out into the world, and then you'll see what comes my way after that.
Well, we know you're going to have a very exciting career, and thank you very much for joining us today in the studio.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. If you'd like to find out more about New Filmmakers Los Angeles, you can sign up for our newsletter at nfmla.org. We'd like to thank Cameras Los Angeles for this wonderful space where we've met some of the world's best new filmmakers.